Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about TTRPGs. First up for TTRPGs, we've got, again, the DM thermos mug thing from D&T. Again, not associated with Wizards, but a really cool company in their own right. They make some really good tea, and I like this a lot, even if American Traditional is not really my favorite style. I think it's a really cool design. Inside of it, we have the Mystic Dragon green tea, a nice, like, kind of fruity, mostly round green tea from the Spice and Tea Exchange. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Instead, what we're here to talk about today is a little bit more of Ark. This TTRPG that we've been covering all week, and today we have come to what is, I assume, everybody's favorite day in every one of these weeks, because it's my favorite day in the weeks, because it's the most complicated one, probably. Not always. Wanderhelm wasn't, but that's okay. We are creating an Ark character, or we are walking through how to create a character today. We're not actually going to be creating one, but we're going to be talking about how you go about creating a character for this here game. So, first and foremost, what do you need to actually create a character? Well, first thing you need is the character sheet, which is available online on the website. Again, all that stuff is linked in the episode description. Once you have that, you also need a pencil, obviously, and you need at least 1d6, if not more. You can do it with one. It's easier sometimes to be able to pick up several dice and roll them all at the same time. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to roll through this here process of how you actually make a character that they have so lovingly laid out for us here on page 41 of the book in these 6 steps here. In no particular order, and by no particular order, I mean the order you should do them in. They are: determine your approach scores, assign blood and guts modifiers, assign skill ranks, determine inventory, answer character building questions, and determine your bonds. Let's go ahead and let's crack open what it is that that actually means for each one of these things. And bear with me, there's going to be a couple of things that I scan for real quick while I try and figure out exactly what I'm trying to say here. So just hang with me. So first up, determine your approach scores. These are your big 3 scores. There are creative, careful, and concerted approach. So creative, obviously, the 3 scores represent the ways that you will approach different situations and the way you will attempt to tackle them. So you can attempt to tackle them in a creative way, in a careful way, or in a concerted way. It is up to you how you want to go about doing that, but you will need to communicate with your guide enough to actually make the argument for whichever one you want. Because if you have a high creative modifier but a low concerted modifier, but you are trying to do something in an effort, grit-based, or will-powerful way, and you are trying to argue for your creative, you're going to need to be able to actually make that argument. So the way, these, again, are how you approach things. If you are trying to approach in a creative way, you're doing it in an interesting, unusual, or surprising way. Cleverness also applies in this one. Careful approaches utilize attention to detail, analyzing variables, and ensuring the action does not trigger unwanted consequences. And concerted approaches exemplify effort, grit, and willpower. Any obstacle is surmountable when you have the drive to succeed. Your scores for each of them ranges from +0 to +3. 0 being aptitude, being no aptitude, there we go, 1 being average, and 2 being gifted, and 3 being expert. So, in order to actually determine how you go ahead and set those scores, there are 2 ways to do it. And there are going to be 2 ways to do basically all of these things that assign you things. There's going to be the way that the book offers you, and there's going to be a rolled way. So, if we are going to look at the way that the book tells you to do it, assign each one of your scores one of the following: +0, +1, and +2. Simple enough, right? Alternatively, you can roll to determine your scores, and you assign that many points to your approach scores. So, you go ahead and you roll 1d6, and you then decide where those points actually go. So if you roll a 4, you then have 4 points to allocate somewhere, which is better than if you were to go with the assigned ones the way that the book had it laid out originally. If you want to entirely randomize how this goes, you go ahead and you roll, and then you assign 1 point to the score based on what you have rolled. So if you roll a d6 and you roll a 1 or a 2, you assign it to creative. 3 or 4, you assign it to careful. 5 or 6, you roll or you add to concerted. After you have determined the total number of points that you have to assign places. But for the most part, if you're going to be rolling and you want some real control over it, I would recommend rolling, taking that number, and then applying it to your scores the way you want to. Now, you might say, man, it really would suck if I rolled a 1, wouldn't it? Yes. However, if you roll a 1 on this one, you get extra points to add to your inventory later on as a consolation for being terrible with your approach scores. And that's kind of the way it goes. The trade-off is going to be if you roll badly, you will get extra inventory later on in character creation. So up to you how you want to do it. If this is your first game ever, I would kind of recommend just going with what the book is asking you to do, but that's entirely up to you. Your approach scores obviously help set your TNs as you go through, and so having at least one that you're really good at means that you will have one thing, or at least one thing that you have a strong inclination towards. And because the skills are not inherently tied to your approach scores, it doesn't matter if you are going to assign it in a certain way. It's really just kind of how your character will approach different situations. Next, we have the blood and guts modifiers and blood and guts scores. So, blood is your ability to withstand physical harm. It is basically your hit points, but kind of not really. Guts is your ability to withstand social, mental, etc. harm. Basically, it is all of your physical stats and all of your mental stats rolled up into 2 nice little numbers for you. What is important here is that when you hit 0 in either of these, you don't immediately go down. Instead, you start dealing damage to your approach scores. When your approach scores hit 0, then you're in trouble. When all of your approach scores hit 0, then you're in trouble. You're guaranteed to have at least 1 in an approach score, so you got at least 1 little buffer there. But basically, blood and guts is the way that you're going to be taking damage without actively reducing your ability to do stuff. So again, blood, physical harm; guts, mental and social harm. You go ahead and you assign them initially, but they can vary and change. They don't have to. Let me be clear. They can vary and change. They don't have to. But when you wake up from a long rest, you have the option of rolling a new set of blood and guts plus a modifier. So that is entirely up to you, but let's go ahead and let's talk about how we actually determine your blood and guts scores. So first up, let's talk about the modifier here. Your modifier, again, as the book lays it out here, you have up to 6. You allocate it to your blood and guts as you see fit. If you are somebody who is planning on being in the front line of whatever conflict is going to be happening, maybe you want a little bit more blood. If you're not planning on doing that and you are planning on doing a couple of other things, you're going to want a little bit more guts probably. But the sort of static number that they give you is 6. So you can do that 4 and 2, 3 and 3, 1 and 5, 0 and 6. Up to you. Entirely up to you. It is your modifier to your score. Your modifier will not change until you are advancing your character, which we'll talk about much later on. If you want to randomly roll it, you roll a d6 and record a result for blood. Then you roll a d6 and you record a result for guts. If the sum of both of them is less than or equal to 3, you get extra inventory later on. But that is what your modifier is then when you get to that. In order to determine your actual full score then, what you are doing is you're going to go ahead and you're going to roll 2d6 each for blood and for guts, and then add their modifiers, and then you get your total. So basically, you roll 2d6. If you roll 10 and you have a 10 for blood and you have a blood modifier of 4, then you have 14 blood. Congratulations. If you roll a 2 and you have a modifier of 4, you have 6 blood. Congratulations. And like I said, you have the option to reset those at the end of each long rest, which is 5 minutes in real time. At which point you would go ahead and you would roll your 2d6 and you would replace your scores with that. If you are deciding to roll it, you do have to replace them. You can't just sort of change it out. But if you decide you don't want to roll that, you just gain some of it back. That is just kind of in the extended rules. The third step here of our 6-step process is to assign your skill ranks. Again, there are 18 different skills here. Your 18 different skills fall into 5 different categories, and we'll just sort of do a quick example of one of them. We're not going to run through all 18 of them, but we'll talk about 3 of them, I guess, total. So first up, if in your knowledge skills, again, these are not tied to your approach scores. They're not tied to any of the scores. You are just gaining proficiency, basically, in some of these things. One of your knowledge skills is academic, the pursuit of formal knowledge, primarily scientific or historical in nature. You could use this to recall pre-colonial Orcish history, theorizing a scientific principle, or understanding a formal chemistry problem. So knowledge skills will fill sort of batches like that. You also have social skills, physical skills, pragmatic skills, and prowess. Prowess are the other 2 I actually want to talk on, because all of the other ones are sort of like, you can use this to kind of do this thing. Your prowess skills, there are 2 of them, the other ones each have 4, have direct effects on your mechanical abilities. So first is Arcana. You recall lore, sense spirits, channel magic, and that it is required to perform enhanced spells. As well as reading magical runes, detecting magic that is currently cast, gathering ingredients for a ritual, blah, blah, blah. And then the other one is Focus. Hone attention, concentrate mental spirit, required to perform enhanced techniques. Enduring intense mental duress, resisting distraction, and committing to the present objective, pushing the body past its limit. So these 2 are going to be sort of your bread and butter if you are focusing a lot on spells and techniques. The other ones are going to be more like mundane, regular world problem-solving kind of things, which are very important, don't get me wrong. They just don't have a direct mechanical effect. Skills each have a rank of +0 to +3, just like approaches. 0 means no skill, 1 is average, 2 is gifted, 3 is expert. And skill ranks correlate directly to how easy it is to succeed at something. A +3 skill automatically sets your TN to a minimum of +3, which means that on a D6 roll, you're going to be succeeding about half the time. So basically, the way that you determine your skills, as written, the static way, is allocating +2 to 2 skills and +1 to 3 skills. Randomly, you roll 2d6. You get that many skill ranks to skills of your choice, which means you get a +1 or 2 to each of those things. Basically, you get skill points, and then you go ahead and add them to it. You can also use this list over here to assign +1 and +2 to a lot of different, or to several different skills, up to the number that you rolled. If you roll and you get less than or equal to 4 as the total number you can add to stuff, you get some extra inventory moving forward here. So, we've been talking about extra inventory. Let's go ahead and let's talk about what your inventory is actually going to be. So, as you are determining all of your other stuff, you are potentially adding more points to inventory, which makes sense when you get here, because the way that inventory works is there are 5 different categories of starting items. Those are damage and defense, supplies and sundries, oddities and valuables, spells and techniques. As I mentioned, I believe yesterday, spells and techniques are part of your inventory. However, they are not physical things that you have. They're just they're stuff that you can do that you sort of get, and this is a good way to make sure that it actually adds in here. Each category has a list of numbered items. Each number is a different value. So if something is 1 on the list, it is a 1 value item. If it is number 4 on the list, it is a 4 value item. It correlates directly like that. So if you are going and directly determining the way that the book has it written out, you choose items from any of the lists totaling 30 points, or no more than 30 points. You can have less than that if you want, but I don't know why you wouldn't just start picking up single point items to randomly determine your hero's inventory. Pick a list, any list, again there are 5 of them, and choose whether you roll 1d6, 2d6, or 3d6 on it, adding the resulting item to your inventory. Do it multiple times on multiple lists. You don't have to use multiple lists, it can all be the same one, until you've rolled a total of 12d6. So you may roll more than once for a particular list. For example, you can roll 3d6 twice on the techniques list and 2d6 thrice on the oddities list, as long as the number equals 12d6 total. That is how you are determining this. If you have been randomly determining your stuff up to this point, you get extra points to add to your pools here. If your approach scores are low, blood and guts is low, or skill ranks are low, you get 9 points per one of those instances that is true. added to your pool, or you get 3d6 added to the dice pool for each one of them if you are rolling. So if your approach scores, if you rolled a 1 on your approach score, you go ahead and you get an extra 9 points, or you add 3d6 to your 12d6 total. Let's talk a little bit about what some of these things are, because again, it's just some kind of bizarre stuff. Damage and defense. So starting at the top here, we've got a Scowling Face, which is +0 guts damage. Number 2 is a Pitchfork, +0 blood damage. Jump down a little bit. 9 is Confidence, +1 guts damage, and Personal Growth, +1 guts defense. Basically, defense will lower the TN when you are being interacted with, and damage will raise the TN when you are attacking something. So we've got, in supplies and sundries, we've got 1, 3 days rations, 2, artisans, tools, and playing cards, jumping down, 8, a mirror and fine clothes, 13, live hen, lays 1 egg every day. List 3, 1, a seashell horn with a good luck charm, 2, a bottom half of a dead donkey, jumping down, 10, a constantly growing silk dress, silk dress, 12, a mirror with shadowy beings in every reflection's background. Basically, this is up to you to figure out how this is actually useful. And then 18, a telepathic yak, down on that one. So, then we come to lists 4 and 5, our spells and techniques. They are very much special. They are associated with, those 2 prowess scores that we talked about, and they actually go past 18. These are the ones that you kind of have to point by in order to get all the way up, and you are really kind of dumping everything if you want to get to the top of them. So, spells, list 4. 1, Trinket. Minor magical effects, certain to delight anyone. That's nice. That's nice and small. 2, Trick of the Light. You mold light like water, creating auras and illusions. That's also nice. Jump down. 9, Burn the Past. Remove the past hour's events from someone's memory. Jump down. 12, Pierce the Veil. See any place, anytime. Jump down. 17, Make others fall asleep. It's called, or Blackout. Make others fall asleep. Jump down. 24, True Miracle. Bring your wish to reality. List 5, techniques. We have 1, only ones who know. Either everybody knows about your action or nobody does. Could be useful in the actual flow of combat. 2, Uncanny Alarm. Ask the fates about an action's consequences. Jump down. 8, Bind Magic. Prevent someone from using spells and techniques. Jump down. 12, Redo. Reroll the last skill check, whether it's yours or someone else's. Jump down. 16, Fluorescent Transcendence. Enhance all spells and techniques for a brief moment. Push past all the way to the bottom. 24, Doom Pulse. Hold off the doom. So again, these are really, really powerful, really potent things. And again, if you're going for those top ones, you're going to be tanking a lot of your points to actually get there. Step 5, we have character building questions. Just sort of like answering some questions to help flesh out your backstory. This one's really short. What makes them different from others? What are 3 rumors about them? What are they and who believes it? What is the most painful lesson your hero had to learn? Those are the 3 recommended questions. Obviously, ask yourself whatever questions you see fit. But those are good ones. They actually have spots for those on your character sheet. Then step 6, last step here. Determine your bonds. Hang with me. We're almost there. Bonds represent your hero's relationship, visualized through quadrants and boxes. Here we go. These guys here. So at the bottom of your character sheet, on the bottom right corner, if you're looking, there are a series of boxes with a list of names, or a list of spaces for names next to it. That is going to be your bonds with your friends, party members, etc. So basically, you are trying to build bonds with the characters around you as you go through the game. Building bonds with the characters around you allow you to actually facilitate the way that they are operating within the game. So when you assist someone with a skill check, you can make their role easier by adding a number equal to the number of levels of major bond that you have with them, including, as well as sacrificing a minor level to reroll skill checks. Bonds are set up in 2 different capacities, major and minor, as I just mentioned. Each one of the large boxes is a major level. Each one of the small boxes within it is a minor level. So once you fill up all 4 levels of minor in one of the big boxes, you gain that major level of bond. So once the box is filled out, you have a major level of bond. You know, 3 of them are filled out. You don't have the major level, but you have 3 levels of minor bond in that one. So how do you fill this up, you might be asking? First, in the first box, you accept minor convenience for an ally. Each time you do that, basically with sort of guide's discretion, like favors, offering resources, that kind of thing, you would add a level of bond between you and that ally. Second box is accept harm or serious risk, jumping in front of an attack for somebody, taking peril on for somebody else, that kind of thing, adds into that one. And the only way to add to that third level, or that third box, is to make permanently life-changing, greatly difficult personal choices or likely fatal sacrifices for other people. You start in the top corner here, and you have to work your way all the way across. So if you make a permanently life-changing, difficult personal decision, and you have 2 minor levels of bond in the first box, I'm sorry, but you're not filling up the third box automatically with that one. So how do you determine those at character creation? Pick one hero with whom you have 6 minor levels of bond. Choose a second hero with whom you have 3 minor levels of bond. Straightforward, easy enough. To randomly determine it, you roll 3d6 and distribute that many levels of bond between your hero and their allies. And then there's this page following it that says, and done. That's it. I know that that is complicated and long, but that is how you create a character. Hopefully it's not actually that complicated. I just had to talk a lot, because it's not actually that complicated. If you sit down with the book in front of you and you just sort of like go through it, pacing through it, it's really not that difficult. It's cool. It's a little different than what you're maybe used to. It's obviously many more steps than Wanderhome, or even like Kids on Bikes, but it is not more complicated than a 5e character or a Pathfinder character or anything like that. So don't let that deter you. Definitely check it out. Definitely try it. I think it's really, really cool. But that is everything I have to talk to you guys about today on that one. So thank you so very much for making me a part of your morning routine. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much in particular to my subscribers. You guys are the ones that make this show possible. If you're interested in supporting the show, the best way to do it is to subscribe either here on YouTube or here on your favorite podcasting platform. I said here both times. I don't know why I did. That's not, well, whatever. You know what I mean. So with all that said, everybody, don't forget, drink tea, play TTRPGs, and keep on rolling.